one, fight!
What's up YouTube, Dow here from Zephyr War Games, bringing you another live commentary on one of our duels from this weekend's locals. Now on the left you've got Shane with the Toad map playing Prank Kids, with of course the brand new card Meow Meow, and to the right you've got myself playing Mutant Thunders. Now obviously he starts off with, I believe it's not Prank Kids Place, but it's the Prank Kids card that you discard a Prank Kids card and then produce a token. I activate D-Shifter in response to the activation because it discards as cost. Meaning any card sent to the graveyard during my turn or until the end of his turn is now technically banished. So, didn't really do a lot. I was more expecting him to have a Prank Kids. I was like, alright, let's burn away with advantage. But that didn't kind of work. I then open up the Mutant Field Spell, activate the Mutant Field Spell, and special summon Mutant ST 005 or 05 from the hand. Little bit of knowledge here. The Mutant cards are actually Mutant ST, Spell and Trap, and Mutant MO, 5, which is monster. So I know a lot of people might already know this, but straight away off the bat I didn't even realize it. So the ST is the one that searches out your spells and traps, and the MO is the one that searches out your monster. So I thought that was a bit of funny tech. Anyway, I choose to search out the Mutant Cry, which is the trap card that lets you fusion. I use ST's effect to banish itself and banish one of the traps. And the trap that I choose to banish is the one that specials a mutant, which basically allows me to have Arsenal. Now, Arsenal is if my opponent activates a monster effect, I can target and banish one card on the field. I declare to use the effect. I'm up by 200 because the field spell boosts all my mutants by 100 for every banished one. I attack over the Meow Meow. The Meow Meow gets banished because it's under D-Shifter, and do a bit of damage to Shane on that one. Now, it's really dependent. Now, I thought I had the advantage here, but it's really dependent on who can get into their engine faster. So I've got Mutant Cry. I've technically got 2 forms of disruptions, but he couldn't do anything. Now, I decided not to activate Cry during his main phase 2, and now I've just got to get the damage on. So this is where I kind of mess up a little bit as well. As I don't have 2 banished mutants, so I can't resolve the Cry without losing Arsenal. So I think I draw into 2 shifters. I attack with Arsenal, deal 3,000 damage or 3,200 damage, and then of course Shane now opens up his Prank Kids chain. So, Dropsies into Meow Meow. Believe it or not, they actually play like 12 monsters plus 3 plays. They've got like 15 casts to start everything up. So, to make sure that the Cry is now live, I choose to use Arsenal's effect to banish the second Meow Meow because he only plays 2. But the Dropsies effect is already going to go off. That is going to allow him to gain 1,000 life points and special summon Roxy's. So on the summon of Roxy's, I declare to spin back Arsenal and ST to the deck, and this allows me to bring out the Mutant Fusion, and on the summon I get to pop a card. So I decide to pop Roxy's, meaning he's got no kind of like board presence whatsoever. My Mutant is only boosted by 100, so it's now on 25. It turns out, and I didn't, obviously you don't know this, but it turns out that of course Shane had a Monster Reborn as well. So the Monster Reborn allows him to bring back the Roxy's. Like I said, I've got rid of all of his Meow Meow, so he's got no way of linking it off, and it is just at this moment in time trying to wall up a little bit so that nothing is done. Now this one, I think I draw into Beast, so I put Beast to the bottom of the deck to draw 1 card, or I think it might have been Arsenal. Put it to the back to the bottom, draw 1 card, and I draw into another, so I now have in my hand is 2 shifters, Thunder Dragon Fusion, and another card that I can't use, so very badly brick. So again, I poke the Roxy's in defense, that goes to the graveyard. And then pass back over. He's got the spell card or the field spell that allows you to ditch a card and add a poly. So he ditches Thunder Dragon Fusion, adds himself a polymerization. The Thunder Dragon Fusion is actually really good in the deck because you can banish it to add a fancies. So it counts as long as it's in the grave, it counts as another way of getting to a fancies or getting to a Prank Kids card. He declares to banish the trap to reduce my monster by 200, which I believe at this moment in time leaves him on about 500 life points or about 700 life points. So it wasn't enough for lethal because he took a 3/2 Arsenal. He took a 2k Arsenal, which is on 5, and then he took another 2 off of that, so he's on like 7k. I now use Mutant Fusion because of the activated an effect, just so that I could pop another card on the field. So I was worried about him generating another token. So I decided to use a Mutant Fusion because right now the synthesis that I had on the board wasn't really doing a lot for me. Makes a synthesis pops a token generator, and then those cards should technically be banished, which I do banish in a minute, which boosts my synthesis up a little bit more. But again, he's now got full combo pretty much. I don't think he's got another Meow Meow, so he does need to get that additional extender on the board. But banishes Thunder Dragon Fusion, allows him to search out Fancies. We know he's already got the Poly because he searched that the last turn. He replaces it with Prankid's Place, which allows him to get to another Prankid's monster. And now this is where the mutant, like if I can't interrupt with mutants, this is where they kind of fall back a little bit. So this is where he's going to be able to pretty much go off, because he's going to be able to activate Polymerization, fuse Roxy's and Fancies in the hand. That's going to make Rocket Ride. That's then going to allow him to summon out Dropsies and the fire one, which I can't quite remember which one, what its actual name is. You've got Roxy's, Fancies, Dropsies, and Lampsies, I think it is. So he gets the Rocket Ride effect. Rocket Ride, he's dumping a card off of Fancies, which is the Pandemonium, and he's thinking about whether he wants to banish a card to draw a card, but he's summoning out the Dropsies. He banishes Avarice because he hasn't got 5 monsters in the grave, and he's going to summon out the Lampsies. Obviously, Rocket Ride can now tribute itself to bring back 2 of the Prankid's monsters, building a pretty decent board, but he doesn't even need to do that yet. I've got no interruptions. All I've got is a monster that can pretty much make itself unaffected by stuff. But other than that, he can just pretty much link climb up now. So he goes into Doodle Doo. Doodle Doo's then going to be able to trigger. So he's got Doodle Doo, Chaining 1, Chaining 2 of the field spell, or Chaining 1 of Dropsies, Chaining 2 Fancies, Chaining 3 Doodle Doo, Chaining 4 the field spell. So the field spell makes me lose 500. Lampsies is going to burn me for 500, and Dropsies is going to give Shane an additional 1,000 attack, not 1,000 attack points, 1,000 life points. He's then bringing Dropsies off of Lampsies, and he's bringing Fancies off of Dropsies. I hope you're keeping up with me, guys, on this one. So again, they can just generate, and Nibiru is one of their biggest weaknesses if they don't make the Toad play. Like if they make the Toad play early enough, then they can pretty much go on uninterrupted, and Toad is going to eat up that Nibiru without a worry. But from this point on, obviously, he's linking into Link 2, which I believe is Bow Wow Bark, because then what can do from here is Rocket Ride can bring back Doodle Doo and a Prankid. Now, he's used all of the Prankid's grave effects, so they're not going to float anymore. But Rocket Ride then brings back Doodle Doo. He's now got the ability to, if you want, which I believe what he does is he uses Doodle Doo and Bow Wow Bark to make Access Code, which then means Access Code's got 2 materials that he can banish, because he's got the Doodle Doo, which is wind, and the Bow Wow Bark, which is fire. He's then, of course, got the 2 Prankids that can still do stuff, because he's got the Pandemonium as well. But pretty much from this point, I'm not in the best of positions, because my hand is pretty much dead. I've got no Allure. I've got no way to burn for it. And I said to myself at this point, I was like, I bet my top deck's going to be Thunder Dragon Dark. And that's exactly what it is. So from this point here, he's activated Doodle Doo. Doodle Doo brings him back Pandemonium and another Prankid. So he can even make Access Code now going the hard way, which I believe is exactly what he does. And he boosts his Access Code by 2k by targeting the Bow Wow Bark that was used for its Link Summon. And Access Code in this particular moment is really good, because he can pick off my fusion without me even being able to do anything about it, because I can't respond to his effect activation. So he banishes the Doodle Doo. So he doesn't banish Doodle Doo. He targets the Bow Wow Bark, gives it 2k, and now he's figuring out what to do with Access Code. So he's just going to swing over. I'm going to use the effect to add the trap back. When Synthesis is destroyed by my opponent, he's going to banish the Doodle Doo, which pops my field spell, which means I'm not getting a boost anymore. Activates the... I can't remember which one this is, but this is the one that basically in the end phase will target 3 Prankid cards, shuffle them back in, and draws 1. So he's going to recycle his extra deck and just basically get an additional draw off the top of this. So now I'm in a bit of a pickle, because my hand is at current 2 D shifters, 1 of the Mutant Field spell, and 1 of the Mutant Trap that will let me special summon one of the lower level mutants. So I'm not in the best of positions. Plus Thunder Dragon Fusion, plus I now top deck a Thunder Dragon Dark. So I'm like, I've got pretty much nothing. So I ditch the Dark just to deck Finn. It gets me another Dark, which means I don't draw into it the next turn. And then of course I'm going to set the trap card. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. I'll have to have a quick look. Things like Mutant Synergy, something like that. But basically it allows me to, when it's activated, I can take a mutant, level 4 or lower mutant, and either add it to my hand or summon it. Now what I've got to do is I've got to be very careful, because if he activates access code, I can't respond to the trap, so the trap will just get popped and I've got nothing. So he rushes into the battle phase, which is a bit of a misplay on his behalf. So in the battle phase, that's when I now know that he's no longer going to plan to use the access code effect, so I chain the effect. This allows me to bring out either ST or MO. I believe I choose to bring out MO, because MO will then allow me to search an ST. So I'm basically just putting a bit of defense in between me and the designated, like, just one shot out. So he's obviously going to lamp seize me. That's going to kill that, and then I'm going to take 43 to the face off of the back of access code, which isn't ideal, but it is what it is. I still don't know what his face down is. I think his face down was imperm, which really kills me. So he instant fuses, pays a K. It brings out Rocket Ride. Like, this is the best thing for instant fusion. It now boosts access by an additional 500. Rocket, he can just tribute off, bring back 2. And oh no, it's Pandemonium. Sorry, I believe it's Pandemonium. No, the set card's Pandemonium. So I do Dark during the end phase again, so I don't draw it. And obviously what I'm trying to do is put the Thunder Dragons to the field or grave, because I've got that Thunder Dragon fusion, so I want to make the Titan. Not that Titan's going to do a lot for me right now. Like, I'll be able to kill something and then protect it, so I'll be able to make sure that my Titan doesn't die. So I activate the field spell. The field spell allows me to special summon out the ST. The ST obviously is going to get me a Mutant Cry, because ideally that's the best thing I've got. But I don't know if I've got 2. Yeah, I do have 2 different mutants. He chains the Pandemonium to bring out the Battle Butler. That's then going to allow him to trigger Fancy's, Dropsies, and Lampsy's effect. So I burn for 500, he gains 1,000, and he can send a Prank Kids card. And then they're pretty much going to replace themselves. Access ends up going up by another 500 because he fusion summoned, making sure that access code is currently sitting on 5,300 attack. The Battle Butler is 3,500. So what I've got to try and do, or what I'm trying to get to, is before he makes the Battle Butler, is I'm trying to get into Arsenal, which I can do because that trap is now technically dead. Like, that trap doesn't do anything. It protects my level 8s from being destroyed by card effect. And it's just like, well, I don't mind getting rid of it to get Arsenal to the board, because Arsenal is then going to be a 3k monster, and if my opponent activates a card effect, I can banish a card. So it does give me a bit of play right here. I added the Mutant Cry, I bring out Arsenal, and obviously the idea is that if he tributes the Butler to try and destroy Arsenal, Arsenal can then trigger his effect to banish access code, and it gets rid of pretty much 2 of the boss monsters I've got to deal with. Now again, what I was considering at this point, which looking back, I don't know if it would have been a better idea, but tributing off the Arsenal for the Thunder Dragon Dark, because then I've got the 3 on the board, and I've got the 2 in the graveyard and then the 1 on the board, so then I can activate the Thunder Dragon Fusion, put them all back into the deck, bring out a Titan. Titan is obviously not going to be able to be destroyed, but then I had no way of getting rid of access code. Now in hindsight, looking into what happens in the next turn, which I'll comment on when we get to it, doing that play to make Titan would have been a lot better. Like, a much better option, but this is with like 2020 hindsight kind of plays. I would have, thought about, because at this moment in time I was like, yeah, okay, so I tribute off the Arsenal. The Arsenal doesn't really get me anything. I've got the Mutant Cry. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. I make I bring out Titan. I put the Thunder Dragons back into the deck. I've still got 2 dead Dimension Shifters in the hand. What do I kind of do? So I had to be kind of careful in regards to the Butler and the access code to make sure that I didn't lose everything. So I declared to go to battle phase. In the main phase, he declares to use Pandemonium. Pandemonium puts these the Dropsies and Fancies together and makes the Wishy Washer. Basically what the Wishy Washer can do is it can tag out, and the 2 that it brings back can't be destroyed by battle that turn. So again, it's another very good defensive wall up that can really cause a lot of issues. So again, I still haven't got any other play, so I decide to go into the battle phase eventually. To pretty much, so my Arsenal is being boosted by 300 at current, so it's 300 for every different mutant. So I go to declare to attack the fusion. We're in battle phase now. He bounces it out for a Roxy's and a Dropsies. So my only real target, like, it's not strong enough to beat over Battling Butler because it's 35. It's not strong enough to beat over access code. So I go to the water. He says it can't be destroyed by battle. So I go, right, okay, well, I bet I need to take out the Lampsies then instead. Yeah, and again, like I said, I think the only thing looking back at this I could have done better. So I set the Thunder Dragon Fusion, and I set Mutant Cry. I probably should have read the cards a little bit better. So it's kind of timing that messes me up on this one, because the idea was that I wanted to threaten the Butler, so that straight away the Butler went, all right, okay, well I kind of need to activate the effect to deal with this. So I activate the Cry. He declares to go into battle phase. I activate the Cry. And I go to shuffle back. Like, I kind of wanted to make the big boss monster the Ultimus, but the Ultimus will only really negate a monster effect. Whereas I can't really do a lot. So I put 2 mutants back with different attributes, and I bring out the Synthesis. The Synthesis will then allow me to pop a card. So I use its effect to target the access code. And then at this point, he declares to use Battle Butler's effect, because obviously I can target the access code to destroy it with Synthesis. I forgot to check Battle Butler. I'm pretty sure it's a quick effect during either player's turn. But so yeah, he's just checking that and what I get when it's destroyed. Declares to use Butler's effect. Butler will then obviously Raigeki the board. Now, this is where I mess up, because when I look at both the cards, for me to protect my fusion, it's a when effect. For me to protect, or for me to then trigger Arsenal's effect, again, it's a when effect. So one of them would miss timing. So like if I declared to use the Arsenal, it's not following on the back of, I believe it's a monster effect my opponent controls. Let me just double check. Yeah, when your opponent activates a monster effect, and the synthesis is the exact same when your opponent activates a card or effect. So I could only protect one, and I was like, right, well, if I declare to use Arsenal's effect to banish like the Roxys or the Dropsies, my board is then wide open. Like the access code I'm not worried about, that's going because of synthesis. So I was like, right, okay. What I should have done is I should have activated the effect of Arsenal during my turn and banished a card. Because then what I could have done, and what I stupidly should have done, is I would have banished Dark. Dark would have got me Raw. I could have then banished access code during that turn, which then means when I made Synthesis could have got rid of one of the other prank kids. So that's where I kind of misplayed a little bit. And then I would have ended up having Titan in main phase 2 as well. And then Dark being banished would have gotten me Hawk, or would have gotten me Raw as well. So hindsight is 2020. So then my board would have been Synthesis, Titan, and Arsenal, and then I would have been in a much better position. But regardless of this, he then goes into Doodle Doo. Now I'm currently only sitting on like 700 life points as well. Like he's poked away at me quite a lot. I've then been reduced by an additional 500 because of the field spell. He then brings out Rocket Ride. He then declares to use Rocket Ride's effect so he can attack directly. And I was just like, yeah, okay. So he just attacks directly, and then that's pretty much game. So I was like, yeah, all right,
Round
that kind of
2,
sucks.
Fight.
Anyway, on to game 2. So time is running out. As you can see, that game was a very long game. I've even sped this up. So I open up the ST, and this is where it gets damaging. Is an imperm on the ST just sucks because it can't even use its secondary effect either. So the best you kind of have, if you're not special summoning this off of V-Telly or the field spell, the best you can do is go into Owl Mirage. Now, luckily my hand is in the Nibiru, so I'm kind of like, right, okay, don't go to Toad, don't go into Toad, don't go into Toad. And I think my set is Mutant Cry. And again, I don't have a second mutant to make that live. So he gets pretty much combos. So he's got Fancies into Meow Meow. Fancies will then allow him to special summon one from the deck. And this is pretty much where the life points start to switch places. Like I really like Prank Kids for that exact kind of factor, is the fact that it can win in time, whether it be burn your opponent or like boost your life points. It's really, really good. So it goes into Dropsies. Fancy Send Pandemonium, which again is really cool because you just link those two together. Go into Doodle Doo. Doodle Doo will have the ability, but he's going to use the effect of Dropsies to special summon out Roxys. Doodle Doo's effect will search him out Prank Kid's place, which then gives him another Prank Kids. So I think he goes for Lampsies on this one. Yeah, so he goes for Lampsies on this one. Kind of setting up his plays to see how it goes. Now No, he's in a fairly decent position, but obviously my only worry is the second that I see 2 dropsies on the board, you know they're going for Toad. So that's where you have to Nibiru them. So I was like, right, okay. I think he's only on 4 summons at the moment. So he goes Doodle Doo, and I was like, I'll let him burn through some resources, make sure all of the dropsies effects have done their thing. So he Doodle Doos, adds back Pandemonium and Fancies, I believe it is, or Dropsies. Activates Poly using Fancies and Lampsies and Roxies. Sorry guys, it just goes round and round in circles. Gives Rocket Ride. Obviously Rocket Ride can then boost itself, but it's also going to tribute itself as well, or it can tribute itself to bring back... He gets rid of Nibiru because I'm just not summoning enough. I think that's the banish off of Roxy's to give him a draw as well. I take 500 burn damage. Brings out Dropsies. He's already used all of the Pranky's effects, so they're not going to float anymore, thankfully. But he now obviously has the ability to use Rocket Ride to tribute itself to bring back Doodle Doo. And then what I would personally expect to do is you tribute Rocket Ride, bring back Doodle Doo and a Dropsies. If you've got Dropsies in the graveyard, then you overlay the Dropsies into Toad, and straight away you're protected from anything going forward. But it looks like he's going to go into Bow Wow Bark. Yeah. Bow Wow Bark, chicky wow, wicky wow. And then he goes to go to battle phase, and then I'm like, okay, Nib, I have to, like, you've not really left me options. The other issue as well is, like, the earlier you Nib, the more attack it gives. Lucky on this one, it has, like, 0 defense. I was like, yeah, okay, I've got no issues with that. Its attack is pretty decent. I think it's like 4k attack, so... He runs into the Nib, sets one, passes one, and I top deck a Law. Now this is where it gets nasty. So a Law goes into Dark, sorry. Dark then gets me Raw, and I've got another Allure. So I was like, right, okay, cool. I'm going to Allure into Raw. Raw is going to get me Hawk, and go from there. So I choose to take Hawk first, and then I go, wait, no, I'm going to swap that around, and luckily my opponent let me do that. So I went into Raw, Allure, shuffle out the deck, draw through that, banishing the Dark. The Dark then gets me Hawk from the deck, which means once Hawk leaves the field, it can then fix my hand. So I tried to do that earlier because there's a couple of little bricks in my hand. I mean, again, it's a little bit... It's hit and miss with the Thunders. Like, when it goes off, it does really well. But when it doesn't, like, you need to get the right balance of Mutants and the right balance of Thunders in your hand. And if you don't get that, it doesn't really go anywhere. And if you don't get the Floodgates turn 0... again, you're not really... Like, the Floodgates will win the game on its own, but you don't really go there. So because it's got 0 defense, I was like, IP does the job for me. Hawk lets me fix my hand a little bit as well. And I think I put 3 back. I think 2 of them were the big Mutants as well. He said that's fine. So draw 3 new cards, and I think off the 3, I get into one of the... I get D-Fissure, which is obviously going to cause him a lot of issues. And then I got the Thunder Dragon Fusion, because I've got the 3 Thunder Dragons now. I've got Hawk, I've got Roar and Dark, so they're all going back into the deck. Comes out Titan. Titan's a pretty beefy boy right now, sitting at 32. IP deals with the token. Titan smashes in for 32. And then at this point, it's pretty much like, I don't think he can play through that D-Fissure. Like, that D-Fissure causes him so many issues. So he's going to go over the Avarice. I let him do that, but I think I drew into the Call by the Grave. And it's like, it has to shuffle all 5. So I was like, right, okay, we'll get rid of the Meow Meow. And then he can't recycle his hand. He can't recycle his position. So, again, that causes issue, but then he scoops it up. Now, we are, of course, getting close to time now. I think there was like 2 minutes left as we go into siding. We do end up finish siding. We go into game 3. He went first, and it was literally like, if I did not open up a D-Shifter, he wins, because he just makes Dropsy, he just normals Dropsies, or he gets to Dropsies or Lampsies one way or another, and he swaps the life points around. Like, he's either going to gain 1,000 or he's going to burn me for 500. So literally, that's exactly what happens. There's 20 seconds left on his time during his turn. Time gets called, and he normal summons Fancies, turns Fancies into Meow Meow. That then allows Fancies to special summon Dropsies from the deck. He then used Dropsies and Meow Meow to go into Doodle Doo, and then straight away that will gain him 1,000 life points, meaning that he wins the game. So yeah, that was it. Very good games. Like, the first one, I learned a lot from that. It's just remembering Arsenal's effect and trying to think like 2 steps ahead rather than just the next step. And in game 2, you can see how powerful the Floodgates are, and once everything gets rolling, and how the... I mean, game 1, you saw all the Mutants, no fusions. In game 2, you saw all the fusions or all the Thunders, no mutants. So you can see the balance between the two and how strong like imperm and stuff like that is. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this duel. I hope it gave you a couple of insights into both the decks and how both decks play, and kind of working from there. I do have the Prank Kids profile that I will put up for you guys later on, and there is already the Mutant profile on the channel, so please go and check them out. Please smash the like button as absolutely always. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. All the support you provide to the channel means so much to us. Even if you're not watching every single video, but you want to know when a video pops up that you want to know, then obviously you need to subscribe. Don't worry about the notification bell at the very least. Just subscribe and you'll know once something pops up that you're interested in, you can come back and enjoy it. We try to cover as much content for as many players and many different styles as possible. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as absolutely always, stay safe and happy dueling.